What's going on, Jerome's? The NFL draft is coming up at the end of the month, and the Vikings a little bit snug up against the cap as they look to make a couple more free agency moves, fill out that 90-man rooster. And yeah, top 51 is in effect, so I know people are saying they won't have enough cap space to sign the draft class. Yes, it will. Yes, it will, because players come off the top 51. If the draft picks even register on the top 51, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be all right because... So even though the Vikings are dead last in the NFL in terms of cap space, hey, we finally won something. That's right. So as of right now, via Spot Rack, the top 51 for the Vikings has about 1.1 million in cap space. Now it's a little tight. So if the Vikings want to make a couple more major moves, they're going to have to get creative with the cap, which they've certainly done already. All of the free agents that have come in for the Vikings have void years added on to them. Now, it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, kicking the can down the road, because the cap is going up and up and up, especially with the new media and the new TV deals, etc. And also, we said this a bunch. Just because you send it to the future, you don't get charged interest, and a dollar now is going to be worth more than in the future. So, kicking the space down the road, especially when Kirk Cousins is eventually going to come off the books, even though the Vikings are going to take on Jefferson and Darisaw and Hawkinson, etc. It's not that big of a deal. And the Vikings, if they're so moved to create some more cap space, they certainly can do it. So here's a couple other ways the Vikings can save some cap space. And I think this is what they have in their back pocket right now. I think that they're not going to make these moves until they have to, because if they want to ride it out, with having some type cap situations, I think that they could do that. But obviously the largest one, second largest one, would be restructuring Brian O'Neill. So O'Neill is due around a $14 million base salary this year. You can take that all the way down to the bone, and you can turn that into a rooster bonus, and you can spread that cap hits out over 5 years. So the Vikings would free up around 10.4 million in cap space like that. And Brian O'Neill will get the same amount of money. And since the Vikings see him as a part of the future, restructuring him in this way would not be the end of the world. And so the Vikings did want to make one last big move. And this would be the way to do it. Also, trading Za'Darius. Now, they can't just cut him, because half of his $9.45 million base salary is already fully guaranteed, so they would just take that on the chin. But if they did trade Za'Darius, and Za'Darius, again, when he's healthy, even though he's going to be 31 this fall, still can play at an extremely high level. That's why he does have some trade value. I think that's why the Vikings gambled and held on to him. And at the end of the day, he did sign a 3-year deal last offseason, and he may not like it. He may say, oh, goodbye, fans, goodbye, whatever, sell his house. But if Kwesi wanted to play hardball, the Vikings certainly do have that leverage. So we'll see there. Trading Dalvin. So the Vikings could also cut Dalvin, since only $2 million of his $10.4 million base salary is fully guaranteed. So they would save around $5.8 million versus if they traded Dalvin, they would save around $7.8. Now, moving his contract of a 28-year-old running back, that's kind of a tough ask, but it's something where you look at all the tea leaves, re-signing Madison, going after David Montgomery, having a lot of running backs in for top 30 visits. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they're preparing to move on from Dalvin, or maybe hang on to him. Actually, that covers all the bases. So I don't know. Extending Hawkinson. So Hawkinson is heading into his 5th-year option year, $9.329 million cap hit. Now, they can, if they extend him, they obviously can tear that all the way down. They can turn it into the new deal can have a sizable signing bonus, or they can it can be backloaded in terms of cap hits. Either way, he'll be taken care of. So that's one way to save some cap space and extend a guy that obviously should and could be part of their plans going forward. And then also, the way that they could pick up a couple $100K or $1 million here or there is leveraging the 2020 non-first round picks. So you're looking at Ezra Cleveland, 2nd round pick, DJ Wanham, 4th rounder, KJ, 5th rounder. Now, I would actually say extend KJ, but argument for another day. And all these guys are due between 2.5 and 3 and 2.9 million. So just like they did with Ross Blacklock, where they got him to take a pay cut and then tear it down to a minimum deal and then some incentives, they could do the same thing with Ezra, Wanham, and KJ. And I'm not saying that they should, especially with KJ, but that's certainly Kwesi and Rob Brzezinski's prerogative in terms of if they need to save $500,000 here, a couple $100K there, so on and so forth. So even though the Vikings, like we said, are dead last we last, baby, in the NFL in terms of cap space. There's lots of ways that they can create more cap space. They've already done a number of things, a la adding some void years to Kirk Cousins' deal and shifting some things around. But I mean, there's always ways around the cap, and of course, having Rob Brzezinski in your corner certainly helps, man. But Vikings cap space tracker update. The Vikings were number one. If you're not first, you're last. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.